Zwom. Doot, 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 doot. BMO.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another BMO Creative crypto video. So this one is about the Rock Lake Monster, as well as some bonus info about that area of Rock Lake that I found interesting. So where is this? So in Wisconsin, 20 miles east of Madison, and just a couple of minutes from Lake Mills, there is a body of water in Jefferson County known as Rock Lake that covers around 1,365 acres and is kind of shaped like a minion in my opinion, and it's 87 feet deep at its deepest. The Rock Lake Monster was there. The Rock Lake Monster, now known as Rocky, was first spotted in the lake in 1867, as far as I could find. A man named Harbeck said he saw a large lizard swimming in the lake and also encountered it on land. Harbeck said that the serpent was hidden in the reeds on the shore, and as he walked by, it rose its head up and it hissed at him, and then it jumps back into the water and swims away. Other witnesses at the time reported seeing a large, they described it as thick, creature resembling a serpent swimming under the surface of the water. The mystery animal was known to occasionally break the surface of the water and hiss at onlookers who were close to the shoreline. So near the end of the 1870s, a man by the name of R. Hassman said he encountered it as it floated close to shore. Hassman thought that it was a large floating tree limb. As he got closer, he saw that it was alive, and that freaked him out and scared him, and so he did what any of us would do if we had a large pointed walking stick. He stabbed it with his walking stick, and Rocky suddenly sprang to life and thrashed around, and Hassman reached out to grab his stick and he tried to control it, but he couldn't, and the monster went under and swam towards the middle of the lake, he said. After his account of what happened, Hassman is quoted saying, "I could no longer hold on to it than I could an ox." Like, who says stuff like that? I mean, that Hassman guy was off the chain. Okay, so anyway, the sighting with the most eyewitnesses took place in 1882. Two men, Ed McKenzie and D.W. Siebert, challenge each other to a rowboat race. First one to get across the lake wins. As they raced, one of them noticed a large piece of wood floating across in front of them. The two men stopped rowing and kept floating towards the log, when suddenly a large neck and head rose up nearly 3 feet out of the water, opened its mouth, hissed in their direction. The monster dove and disappeared, and the two men were left freaked out and scared in the middle of the lake. They said they were in the middle. I think they were closer to shore, but let's move on. Without warning, the large head surfaced again, but this time it was right next to Mackenzie's boat. The obviously terrified man began yelling, "Bring a gun! There's a thing out here! Bring a gun! There's a big thing in the lake!" as loud as he could, in the hopes that someone on shore would hear him. Siebert began to swing his oar at the creature and slap it on top of the water to try to scare it away. John Lund, who was on shore, heard the shouts. He saw what was happening. He scrambled a group of his buds, and they all jumped into a rowboat towards the commotion. As they got closer, Wilson, which was one of the guys in the boat, took aim with his shotgun. As if knowing what was about to happen, Rocky turns and looks at them, and then dives back under the water after showing his teeth. And probably he let out a hiss. Wilson kept his gun pointed in that direction, but the creature never came back up. So they all decided to get their boats back to shore and get away from that lake. So, after that, sightings became pretty rare. I did find a few, but that doesn't mean that Rocky was gone, right? The Rock Lake Terror wasn't gone. Many believed that it had moved to another lake. So I looked around on maps and stuff, and sure enough, just a few miles away from Rock Lake is Red Cedar Lake, a lake that is partially fed by Rock Lake even, via an underground stream. In 1890, farmers around Red Cedar Lake began to report sightings of a serpent beast swimming around in the lake. But it wasn't until a local pig farmer reported that a creature resembling a 20-foot serpent grabbed one of his hogs off the shore with its jaws and pulled it into the water. People soon realized that Rocky may have found a new home with an abundant source of food, right? I mean, cows, pigs, sheep, all kinds of ranchers were living around that lake. The monster was said to have gone on a rampage, they called it, a rampage, along the shores of Red Cedar Lake and snatched up any livestock that ventured within grabbing distance. which is along the shoreline, I guess. The partially devoured remains of cattle, sheep, and pigs were sometimes found next to the shore and floating near the surface or washed up on the shore. In 1892, a farmer named William Ward, who I think was just trying to get a paycheck, reported that 5 of his sheep had been snatched by the monster and dragged into the water in just one night. Yeah, how does he know? But anyway, Rocky's presence soon became such an issue that local residents closed up their cottages and fled the area. But then, all of a sudden, all the reports stopped again. Rocky disappeared yet again. In July of 1943, though, I found a story. 15-year-old Joseph Davis was fishing on Rock Lake and noticed some waves and splashes going on close to him that he didn't know where was this coming from. He was the only boat out there at the time. So he just stared at the water, and suddenly, about 20 feet away from him, he noticed that a body came to the surface that he said kind of looked like a tree, like it was made of wood, but it was moving. Brownish black bumpy creature slowly moved through the water, and he waited to see its head, but he said he never saw its head, which maybe he just didn't know what the head looked like. The large torso, he said, was around 7 feet of it exposed. And then it arched forward slowly and then went beneath the water, and that was the last time that I could find Rocky had been spotted. So, based on the descriptions of Rocky, this is what I drew, and as you could tell by the previous slides of this video, yeah, I think it was a huge American alligator or several alligators that people were seeing. People forget that alligators get to be, on average, 12 feet long and can weigh around 1,000 pounds. So that's 3 feet wide. That's a big animal, big monster, if you've never seen one before. Alligators have been seen in and around Wisconsin, believe it or not. And they will float like a log. They will attack near shore and hiss, just as Rocky is described doing. Maybe people just don't expect to see alligators in Wisconsin, but they're there, folks. They are there. The Rock River feeds Rock Lake, and it is a tributary of the Mississippi River, and it runs over almost 300 miles. Oddly enough, alligators have been found in Rock River, Rock Lake, some even in Janesville. One was discovered frozen in 1892, just as an example. It measured around 6 feet. A 3-foot gator was found sunning itself in October of 2005. It was captured. A 4-foot gator was photographed in September of 2007. It was also captured. 2-foot gator was discovered in the river in December 2011, also captured. Just a few examples. But yeah, there are gators there. Kind of unexpected, but true. So, Native American legend, of course I did my homework, from the Ho-Chunk tribe within the area of the Rock River and Rock Lake, did speak of terrible monsters that lived within the river, a creature that was said to have a huge head, wide jaws filled with many teeth, and a body that looked like a thick serpent and tree mixed together. They spoke of how animals that were drinking at the edge of the water were often snatched by the jaws of the creature and swallowed whole. Many tribes even believed that there were several of these, which I wouldn't be surprised, monstrous creatures calling Rock River their home, and so they would dump offerings of tobacco and other stuff, other objects, they say, into the water. I wonder what are the other objects, but anyway, to try to quench the creature's wrath. To me, honestly though, this picture right here says it all. Rock Lake is way stranger than just having alligators in it. The oddest thing I found about this lake is that there are pyramids under the surface of the water, built by what science says are the Aztlan natives, but Aztlan natives say they were built by giants. To me, they appeared to have built when the lake wasn't there, like it was just plains, and then somewhere along the way it was flooded and turned into a lake, man-made lake. Anyway, researchers lean towards the possibility of the Mississippian culture being responsible for the mounds, also called pyramids, underwater. Their culture once stretching a huge, vast area from the east coast of the Midwest and up towards Canada. But I have researched and found dozens of articles, that state that giant skeletons over 9 feet long were found in many of the mounds in Wisconsin. Most of the skeletons were taken by Smithsonian and now they're gone, but yeah, they were found. One example of an article that you can find is the December 20th, 1897 New York Times article that says Wisconsin mound opened, skeleton found of a man over 9 feet high with an enormous skull was the headline of that article. So we know that the Aztalan people were not lying. They were telling the truth, that they lived alongside these giants that were mound builders. So that I thought was way more interesting than the Rock Lake Monster, but anyway, there you go. That's going to do it for this one. Please go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to BMO Creative for more crypto videos. Thanks so much. Bye.